Okay, now we're recording. Now we're in business. Okay, so yesterday was differential, which was concentration and rates. The integrated is concentration and versus time. And unlike the differential, where we could kind of look at it and go, oh, it doubled, and then so the rate doubled, so it was first order. You can't do that with the time, okay? So we have to do a graphical analysis to do that, okay? So same thing, we're going to do, we're only going to do 0 first and second order, okay? 0 first and second order. And so it's going to look like this when you look at one, okay? So whenever we are, the way that we'll determine what order we have is based on the graph, okay? And if we get a straight line when we graph concentration versus time, then it's 0 order. If we have a straight line when we do the natural log of concentration versus time, we have first order. And then if we have the concentration, the reciprocal of the concentration versus time, it's second order. So I highly doubt on an AP exam you would ever have to actually graph it. However, you need to recognize the graphs and what gives you what order, okay? And somewhere along the way, I will not take credit because I did not make this up, but someone came up with this easy, handy-dandy way to remember it, and that is, do you know, y'all have all seen the cleaner CLR? It's like a yellow cleaner, it like cleans your bathroom. Have y'all ever seen that? Even if you haven't, you can remember CLR for clear. So this all becomes clear, okay? And if you do that, it's going to be, oops, let me write this. So CLR will be 0, 1, 2, and that will correlate with concentration for C, natural log for first order, and then the R would be reciprocal. And I'm running out of room. But that's just a way to help you remember that, like an acronym or whatever, CLR. Concentration would be 0 order if it's a straight line. The natural log or log is going to be first order, and then if it is the reciprocal that gives you a straight line, it's going to be second order, okay? All right. Yeah, does that make sense now? CLR.
So you graph all of them, whichever one gives you.
Oh yeah, we're gonna have to graph all of them. Okay. Actually, we're gonna put them in there and do linear regressions, but we're not gonna actually look at the graphs. We're gonna look at the R value and see which one is closer to plus or minus 1. So, I mean, and then you'll need to look at the graph to get the answers, because we can from this decide what concentration would it be at a certain time, even if we didn't test for that time, because it's a linear regression. Okay. So is everybody with me on which gives you what kind yet? Okay. So whenever you get this, here is your slope for those orders when you have integrated. So this is going to be something that you're going to refer back to. So put a star by it, because we're going to use those later to get some. We can use that to get some data points. Okay. So here's how when we do this. If you look at this is where we're fixing to pick up that graphing tutorial. We're going to graph it based on put some list in there, okay? And everybody knows how to put list in, but I'm going to walk you through it just to be on the safe side. That's where this is going to come in handy. I know it's not the best, but I snipped it so I could get it all on one page, front and back, and not have like 4 pages. Because originally it was like this many pages, and I was like, I'm not passing out that many pages. So I played around with it. Okay? So you're going to perform 3 linear regressions. And everybody has a calculator to use, right? I put a bunch back there and said go put batteries in them to get them to work. Okay, because if you try to do this without following along, it's going to be a little bit more difficult. Okay? So we're going to start with this one. Your time is always going to be your L1. Okay? So the first things we need to do is some housekeeping on your calculators. Okay? So what you want to do is, first of all, start with number 1 up there, and you want to clear all your list. First of all, clear everything on your calculator. And then you're going to do the second plus 4 for clear all list. Make sure you hit done, and it says done. The next thing we need to do is we need to turn our diagnostics on, because if we don't turn diagnostics on, you won't be able to see your R value. So the way you're going to turn diagnostics on is you're going to go second 0 for catalog, and then scroll down until you see diagnostics on. Which there's lots of things in there, so. When you get to diagnostics on, hit enter twice so that it comes on your screen and then says done. So is everybody to that point? I'm going to try my best not to go too fast. Diagnostics on. Did you put batteries in there? There's no batteries in there. There's some laying back there. Oh, wait, here. I have one here. This has already got batteries in it. Here you go. That one's got one. Okay, try that one. I forgot that was laying there. All right. So everybody's got diagnostics on. So now we're going to enter our list. Okay. If you don't know how to enter list, go to Stat, Enter, and you should have L1, L2, L3, L4, right? Okay. Time always goes into L1. So now just enter the times here. So 0.
Is it time always goes into this one?
Yes, time is always the first list. Okay, so after you enter your times into L1, go over to L2 and enter your concentrations. Just be very careful that you enter them correctly. Because if you're like me, I transpose numbers very easily. I will say if it's 42, I write down 24 kind of thing. I'm really bad about it. And then once you have your list in there, just verify that your times are matched up with the concentration that's listed in the problems. It's a good habit to get into. And somewhere along the way, if you don't get the same answer that we're getting, go back and check your list. You may have typed in a number wrong. Because I was working a problem yesterday, and I was just slightly off. And I went back and checked, and one of my times, instead of 31.28, I wrote 32.18. So I had to go redo everything. Okay? So when you have your list in there, look up at me so I know we're ready to go to the next one. Because you may already know how to do this next part, but for me, when I learned it, I was like, whoa, mind-blowing. It's awesome. And if I teach you something you're not supposed to know for math, don't tell your math teacher I taught you something you're not supposed to know. Yeah. At A&M, if you're in calculus, they don't let you use calculators. Yeah, I know that. Because we were at a conference one time, and they were like telling like high school teachers what they could do to help kids in college, and they would say take away their calculator.
You got the calculator on one test.
Yeah, because they're not allowed to use it. Yeah. All right. Anybody still entering their list? Well, you were late to the calculator.
Yeah.
I think this is fun. But I'm a nerd, so, You got it, Brian?
Is it one more sheets?
What? Huh?
I guess you can continue.
Are you sure? This problem that's up here is in your notes. Okay? All right, so now you're going to go and take your arrow key and go over and up to where you were at the tippy top. So you're highlighting L3 right now. Okay? You're not in the blank, you're up on L3. Okay? And then you're going to say natural log second 2 for LN2 and then hit enter. And it just did all your natural logs for you. Y'all know how to do that already? Okay, good. Then do the same thing for L4, but do the reciprocal of L2. So go over x to the minus 1. So but first of all, this time you're going to hit second 2 and then do the x to the minus 1.
What's going in the next L3 and L4?
Oh, we just did L3.
Okay, so what was L3?
So go to the very, very top at L3 and hit the natural log button and then hit second 2 So it'll bring up, and then it should say natural log of L2. And then hit enter, and it'll populate for you. Huh?
So nice.
Yeah, instead of having to hit it. Okay, so now for L4, go to that top part again, and then this time do second 2, so you get the L2, and then hit the X minus 1 key. And then hit enter, and it should, if you have 10 as your first number under L4, you did it right.
What about L3?
Negative 2.303. Okay. Okay, so we have our list. We have all of our natural logs and our reciprocals now. Okay. So now we're ready to do our linear regressions. It won't let you do what?
The lane list.
Bring it here real quick. Because you have one of the older calculators, right?
Yeah.
Although I used to could do it on my old one, so let's see. Well, this is an 84.
Yeah, I went to the top. I don't know why it's...
Okay. Go to...
I could troubleshoot it and just try it.
Did you open up the parentheses? Let's take out... Okay, let's try it. Second L2... But no. Natural log. Second L2. Domain. That is weird. Did you turn diagnostics on?
Yeah.
Okay, I don't know.
Maybe I could just go from the beginning and try to, because I can put all this in pretty fast.
Oh, you did it backwards. The time has to be L1. That's got to be L2. So that's what happened. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, time has to be. That was why hers wasn't working, because we had them backwards. Okay. So now we're ready to. We're done. We've made it through 6 is where we're at. So we're going to number 7 now. Okay. We're going to number 7. So we're going to go to Stat. Arrow over to Calc, and then you're going to hit 4 for linear regression. Now, everybody's looks a little bit different. Right now, mine says the X list is L1 and the Y list is L2, which is what we're supposed to do. But I need to go down to where it says Store, REQ, and I need to add my Y1 in there.
Wait, which linear regression? Is it
4.
plus?
The Y.
I have an 89. I'm using it.
Okay, so AX plus B.
Okay.
Okay. So if you have a different calculator, you're looking for the linear regression with AX plus B. So it should paste it into your screen. Now, what does yours look like?
It's,
X list.
X list, Y list.
And then is the second one from the bottom say store REQ something?
Yeah.
So go to that, and we're going to paste Y1 in there by hitting bars, VARS, arrow over, and hit enter twice. And now a Y1 should be pasted there. If the directions are a little bit different than what's actually working, because this was for VARS is right next to program.
Whenever it says linear regression AX plus B on your screen, do you press enter? Okay, and what do you do after that?
So it should say X list Y1 L1, Y list L2.
Say that.
Come, let me see what yours says then.
Wait, which list are we picking in bars?
You're picking Y1.
Okay.
Second, enter. Okay, so yours is a little bit different. So you want to follow these directions.
Oh, okay.
So you enter that in because yours is a little
I
bit
have
different. Okay. Yeah, if you have an older one and it just comes up as linear regression pasted, you want to follow number 7 where it says second one and all that stuff, and it'll paste it for you. The 84 works a little different than the older ones. Okay? So if you've got the Y1, hit enter twice, and you should come up with your linear regressions done.
You don't fill out X list or Y list or anything?
It should automatically be filled in, is it?
No, mine's not.
Then paste, do the second L1 for X and second L2 for...
List 1 and list 2?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So yours doesn't automatically put it in there? Okay. This is the problem with these kind of directions. I can't make directions for every calculator, so we have to play around with them. That's why we do this together. Okay. Does everybody have some numbers?
Yes.
Do you have an R value of a negative 0.941?
Yes.
Okay, jot that down. What I would do is next to it, I would put L2. I would put 0 for 0 order, L2, and then jot down 0.942. Honestly, we don't care about the negative. We're closest to plus or minus 1. So we're going to go do this with every of the other two lists to see which one gives us the closest to 1. Okay? So there's the second and third time around, it's easier. Okay? Because now I want you to hit second enter. And you should say, it should say L1, comma, L2, comma, Y1. Does everybody say that? Yes or no?
Yes.
Arrow over, backwards to the L2, and hit second 3 to paste L3 instead.
And then do it again.
And then do it again. Now you should have 0.999999. So next on your paper, so we wrote this, let me write this down. Isn't it? No, L2, L3, L4.
So wait, how many total linear regressions are we doing?
3.
Three.
So our R value here was 0.942.
So it
We-
doesn't matter about the negative.
Wait, for the,
Nah, because it's closest to plus or minus 1.
my
Okay,
calculator,
okay, okay.
hmm
the R value is 1. It says 1.
So it rounded it for you. It's just, yeah. So at this point, you're pretty sure that that's going to be a first order, but you should always do the third one because sometimes it's closer than this. So now, same thing, do second, enter, and then scroll back over and replace the L3 with L4 by hitting second 4. And then that linear regression, I think, mine comes out to 0.940. So we are definitely first order because that's the winner, winner, chicken dinner. Okay, so the rate law would be rate is equal to K N205. So that's how you would do that. Okay, so what we're going to have to do, because we had to do the 3 regressions to figure out, is go back in and plug L3 back in for your linear regressions because we're going to use some of the numbers it gave us. Okay, so remember the K is your what? Slope.
Slope, yeah.
And so for first order, our K is going to be equal to, and we can't have a negative K value, it's a constant. So it's going to be 0.00693. And what would our units be? Because for first order, what are our units equal to? Inverse time. And in time, we have seconds, so it would be S minus 1. So we've done the first part. We've figured out the order, and we figured out K. Is everybody with me right now? I know this is hard today.
My calculator
I
didn't
think
do
that got
it.
me right there. How'd you get the number?
Go back. Did you go back and look at your? It's A. It's your slope. A is equal to your K value.
How do you, oh. Okay.
Yeah, that's why I said go back and redo the linear regression since that's our order, because we're going to use. Yeah, we're going to use
So
this.
you go back and do it for L3.
Yeah, because L3 was the winner.
Got it.
Yeah, L3 was the winner. So A is your K value. Yes.
Does the negative
Because the R value is the closest to 1. We're looking for whatever is the closest to plus or minus 1. And so the 3 R values were right there. So 0.99 was the closest, so it wins.
my slope was negative?
You sure you want to go the rest of your right now? Because we're fixing to get the rest of these numbers by graphing and windows and trace and Y equals.
You just need some time to cry.
I mean, I am recording, so you can go. Okay. The only thing is, when I'm recording, you can't see what we're doing on our calculators, so that's going to be a little hard for Alex.
So
Mine is negative.
this, I typed
It's
in
okay.
everything and
It's-
then
you
this
just take
is
the
what
positive
comes
out.
up. Like it doesn't.
Okay, so so let's do second, enter. So you got to go back and put in L3 because that was the one we had, that was our winner. So now your number should be the same as ours.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, once you figure out which order you have to go back and put it back in
Okay.
so we can deal with it. Okay.
Regular equation.
Does everybody have this written down? Because when I move it, it's going to disappear. Okay? Okay, so now we're going to go back and get the rest of this. So I'll rewrite this.
No, but then I have to teach them to know what to say. You wait.
Oops.
But it wouldn't be funny because the circumstance you're bringing up, circumstance you're bringing up is that he knows what's staying here, which isn't white. He also knows that's staying.
Okay, so we just did our linear regression. We got K. And so now we are at, to answer the rest of the questions, number 12. Okay, so we put our rate back in there. We got our K. So now you're going to hit we're on number 12 on your paper. So hit second Y, because you got to turn your graph on here. So go to the first one and turn your plot on. Okay. And then you want to select the first one. And then go down to your X list and your Y list. And you're going to need to put in that you want your Y list to be L3 so it graphs that. So go to your Y list and hit second 3 so that you're pasting L3 in there.
Mine already had it right.
Yeah, yours is fancy. Yeah.
Yeah, we get it in there.
Some,
Sorry, okay, I'm not talking.
So regression is nowhere.
don't be a hater.
Miss Carter,
Yes?
for the X list and the Y list, which list do you need?
L1 and L3 for Y. Okay? So we have that in there, turned it on, got our, and now you want to hit Zoom 9.
Zoom 9. Zoom 9.
Zoom 9. And you should get a graph. And it should be a straight line.
Well, what about the... Oh, never mind.
So now that you've hit Zoom 9, you're going to press Window and see if your data points are where they need to be. Because sometimes we have to adjust our window. Okay? So to solve for time, because that's our next question, determine the concentration. Okay, so now you're going to do second trace, and then you're going to hit 1, and you see that X, because X is time, right? And it's wanting to know what's the concentration at 250 seconds. So type in 250 and hit enter, and it will give you, that's going to be your Y, it's going to give you Y is equal to negative 4.035. That is not a concentration, is it? Why not?
Because it's
And it's way too big.
no units.
It's over 1.
This is not going to give you units. What are we graphing here? No, what we're first order. What were we graphing?
Oh, the
Natural log. So how do we get out of natural log?
E to the...
E. So to get concentration, we're going to take E to the negative 4.305 to get it out of natural log.
Wait, point.
yes.
See, I told y'all. I transpose numbers. It's what I do. Sound like that commercial. If you're Miss Parker, you transpose numbers. So when we do that, magically we get what concentration?
0.107.
You transpose numbers, Kenzie.
Okay, now to double check ourselves, we can go up and look at our thing and say, okay, at 250 seconds, I should be between 0.2 and 0.01, and I am, so most likely this is correct. Okay, so it wants you to do it for 600 seconds as well, so you're going to do the same thing. Second trace again, value, and then type in 600.
So what?
It's going to tell you invalid.
So what you did here was plug in that time to the linear regression, then across, or?
Say that again. What I did here? No, I just figured. I'm just asking what the value is if x was 250.
Yeah, so did you plug in 250 for axle on the linear graph?
Yeah, whenever I didn't, yeah, well, I typed in second trace 1 for value, and the X comes up at the bottom. I typed in 250 and hit enter, and it gave me the Y value, okay?
But on this, on what function was this?
Second trace.
No, I mean, you had to trace a function, didn't you?
Oh, it's already in there because we've graphed it. When we did zoom 9, the graphs comes up.
So that's the graph of what, again?
L1 versus L3,
Okay.
okay? So if you just did 600 seconds, what did you get? An error message?
No, because you have to take out the window.
Yeah, I got.
Well, yeah, so now you have to, because we're at 600, which is well above what we entered in, you need to go back and fix your window. So go to window, we'll go to, so your X max here is 440, so we need to make that, I would change it to 640, just change it to 640. And then, because we're changing that, you might want to change your Y min as well. Let's change it to 6.5, negative 6.5. Now hit zoom 9 again, so it'll graph it. And then hit second trace 1. Now you should work if you hit enter 600. Nope, mine still doesn't work, so we got to adjust the window. I really should have written down what the window was.
I just did up to 650 for the Y.
For the Y?
I mean the X, excuse me.
No, I didn't
The Y
change the
had
Y.
like -1 to 5.
Well, my window's not working. Oh, I thought I typed in the same thing I already had. I said y'all put 640, and I typed back in 440. Wow.
Have a great day, guys.
Time flies.
I wasn't really ready to be done. I had one more thing to show you.
Is that our bell?
That is our
I have to go to.
Yeah, that's our bell.
Time flies when you're separating through calculation.
I thought it was a lot of fun. What?
You know that I was thinking that it's
Okay.
Really?
yeah. I was actually
Arjun, where are you going to college?
Where am I going to school? Not important.
Got denied.
Like Alan said, hey, you know, like, overqualified, you know.